Hello, I'm going to show you how to make this beautiful snowflake. To make this snowflake, I'm using 4mm crochet hook and double knit yarn, but you can use a different size yarn if you wish and just use a suitable hook. We'll start by making a slip knot, and now we're going to chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We are now working back into the very first chain what you made. Go through this chain and make a slip stitch. Just pull yarn all the way through both hoops, and this will create a little circle where your next set of stitches will be made into. To start with, we are going to chain 3, which will count as a double crochet stitch. We are then making another chain 2. So your first chain 3 counts as a double crochet, and then you have an additional chain 2. Make a double crochet stitch and then chain 2 again, and then another double crochet followed by chain 2, and all of the double crochet stitches are going into that circle you first created. We are going to make 5 double crochet stitches and chain 2 spaces in between them, and don't forget that your first chain also counts as a double crochet plus chain 2, so in total we will have 6 posts. Once you've done your 6 posts, you are going to slip stitch on the top of that first chain 3 to finish off this round. You now have 6 chain 2 spaces, and we will be working into these spaces. Slip stitch into the first space. We're going to chain 3 and then make 4 double crochet stitches into that space. The second one, third one, and one more. Now going to take our hook off the loop and go through the top of the chain 3 we made, and then go back into the working loop and pull the working loop through and then chain 1, and this creates a popcorn stitch. Now make chain 4, and we're going to make another popcorn into the next space. This time we are going to make 5 double crochet stitches. With your first popcorn, the chain 3 counted as a double crochet, so you didn't have to make 5, but now we're making 5 double crochet stitches. Pull up your loop again, go through from front to back through your very top of your first double crochet you made, pull the loop through and chain 1, and that's your second popcorn made. In between popcorns we are making chain 4. So again into the next space we are making 5 double crochet stitches to create popcorn stitch. Go 5th one here, and then pull up that loop a little bit, go from front to back on the top of the very first double crochet, pull the working yarn through and then chain 1 to finish your popcorn, and now chain 4 in between the popcorn stitches. Let's do this one more time together. So make 5 double crochet stitches into that chain 2 space from the previous round. Pull up your loop a little bit so you don't lose it, and then pull your hook through and pull it through and chain 1 to finish. And do this all the way around until you get back to the beginning and you have made 6 popcorns. We're now finishing off making a slip stitch at the top of the first popcorn you made. And now we're going to work into these chain 4 spaces we created from previous round. Slip stitch into the space and chain 4, slip stitch back into the space, chain 6, slip stitch back all into the same space, and then chain 8. This will create points for your snowflakes. Slip stitch back into that space, and now chain 6 again, slip stitch back into that chain 4 space, chain 4 and slip stitch into that space, and that makes the first point for your snowflake. Let's slip stitch into the next chain 4 space to start the next point. Chain 4 first, slip stitch back into that space, then chain 6, slip stitch back all into that chain 4 space. Now chain 8, and again go back into that same space, and now chain 6, slip stitch back into that space, and finally chain 4 and finish off the second point for your snowflake. And now we're going to move on to the next space, slip stitch to get there, chain 4 again, slip stitch, chain 6, slip stitch back into that space again, then chain 8, and slip stitch, chain 6, slip stitch, and finally chain 4 and slip stitch. And this is what you will be doing all the way around until you get back to the beginning. And then finally just a slip stitch in between the spaces of the first and last point, fast enough, and cut your yarn. You'll have 2 little tails what you need to weave in, and you can just stretch out your snowflake a little bit, flatten it, and if you want you can get a card and glue it onto the card to make your own Christmas cards. I tend to use this craft glue, but if you have your favorite, to use that one. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed making this snowflake.